So normally we would go through the top 5 posts from Reddit from the last X number of weeks, but because of WWDC, I thought we'd just choose our top 5 moments from WWDC. And yeah, how does that sound?
Sounds great. Do you want to kick off with yours?
Yeah, sure. Well, my number 1, and if this hadn't come out, I was going to probably throw my watch out of a tall building, but podcasts is finally coming, I guess, natively to the watch. Podcasts, they've existed in some form on the watch, kind of on and off a little bit at first, but more or less with workarounds at the moment. The number 1 workaround being the Overcast app, which is actually pretty decent. But the annoying thing is it doesn't sync with the podcast app on the phone, and you always have to turn off Bluetooth on the phone to download a podcast episode. So it's just, it's definitely a workaround. It's not native. But now it's coming natively, and from the screenshots and videos I've seen, it's going to act pretty much like Apple Music exists on the watch. So it's going to cache recent episodes, and it's going to let you stream stuff that it hasn't cached. It's going to work over LTE, and it's going to sync, hopefully, with the iPhone, iTunes, and the HomePod. Although I have got huge doubts about that, because even without the watch, I rarely get a decent sync between where I'm up to. What do you call that? Where you're up to in a podcast? Playback position. Yeah. I rarely get playback position sync between iPhone, Mac, and HomePod. So yeah, we'll see. But at least it's going to be there.
Have you downloaded any of the betas yet?
No, I haven't yet. Firstly, because the first WatchOS beta got pulled because it was bricking so many people's watches. So
right. They just re-released it yesterday. So.
Yeah, I saw that. But apparently all the new features are basically not working. Like the walkie-talkie doesn't work, podcast doesn't work, raise to speak without the keyword isn't working. So
right.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm running iOS 12 and watchOS 5.
Nice.
So it's been okay. iOS 12 has been really impressive for me, and watchOS 5 has been, at the moment, I haven't got to play with any of the new features, but I can access the control center from within an app in the watch, and that's basically the new feature that works.
That's a good one, though, because it's really frustrating sometimes having to click the crown 3 times to get back to the home screen, or the watch face rather, to then get control center.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited to get all those features working, but iOS 12 especially, it feels better than, more polished than even the 11.4 feels, so...
Yeah, that's what people on Reddit have been saying. That's really good.
Yeah. All right. So are we gonna swap back and forth on our top posts, or are you gonna just go right through your list here?
Let's go back and forth. I don't want to hog the mic.
Okay. So the standout thing for me was actually the walkie-talkie feature in watchOS 5, and not necessarily because I feel like it's going to be super useful, but I remember when the Apple Watch was first announced and demoed on stage, one of the features that was supposed to come with it from the very first operating system was this walkie-talkie feature. So to see them finally get this implemented, 4 versions later of the operating system is going to be kind of cool. I don't know if you had something similar in Australia, but we have a cell phone carrier, Sprint. 20 years ago, their big gimmick was they had walkie-talkies built into all their phones, and it was marketed towards construction workers, so they could just press to talk to the people on their crew or whatever. And it reminds me a lot of that.
No, we never had anything like that. I had no idea that it was possible to do that over the cell network.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they exactly implemented it, but you could make custom groups in your phone, and then you could choose a group you want to push to talk to, and yeah, it was really big in construction, but never really picked up anywhere else.
Would it have to use the cell towers, or would it be peer-to-peer?
I assume it used the cell towers because it worked over any distance, and this was before mobile internet had really caught on, so it would have had to have been just using regular voice channels.
Yeah, I can see this feature being very handy when it comes to having arms full of a baby or something and trying to walk around the house and needing to get messages back and forth from my wife.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about it having the potential to, if I'm in a meeting at work or something and someone tries to walkie-talkie me, is it just they're just gonna start talking out of my wrist, or... I guess I'll have to use Do Not Disturb a lot more.
I thought at first that that's how it would work, that anyone you added to your walkie-talkie app would just have basically unlimited access to your watch's speaker. But I've since found out that it'll actually send you just a push notification to start with, so it won't play until you tap on the notification. But then once walkie-talkie is open, the app on the watch, then it's more like a proper walkie-talkie back and forth.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds like a good workaround then.
Yeah. Because, otherwise, imagine that. You have like a dozen people on there and they're all just blasting you all day long.
Well, I always like to call Apple out on things that like they announce but never release. And this has been one of them for the last 3 or 4 years. So it's kind of exciting to see this. Now I just need to see them open up the FaceTime standard to allow other phones to use it.
Do you think that'll happen?
But no, I don't think it'll ever happen. Although I never thought this group FaceTime would happen either. So that's exciting as well.
Yeah, well, that's my next point, group FaceTime. So up to 32 people can now FaceTime call, which is crazy. And you get basically 4 like biggish thumbnails of people's faces on the screen, and then a little carousel of anyone else that might be on the call. And their pictures kind of increase in size when that person's talking, which is a neat way of sorting out having, 32 people pictures on a call. And I would also find that group FaceTime audio actually is probably something. I don't know, did they announce that? I expect it would be there as well, and it's not just FaceTime, but FaceTime audio would be coming as well.
I hadn't thought about that. I assume so, but yeah, they never specifically said it would work for audio.
Yeah, I would assume it would. But I can see myself using that a whole lot more than actual video calling.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty great, especially like where I am. I have pretty poor cell phone signal, so whenever I can use FaceTime audio, I do. So
yeah. There were some comments that said in iOS 12 some of the default calling actions are now via FaceTime instead of cellular.
Oh, really?
Interesting. Yeah.
I haven't run into that yet.
Yeah, there were a few comments, kind of like how iMessage just kind of replaced messages if it was available. Apple's been not that aggressive about pushing FaceTime as the default. It's always just a sub option, more or less, when you hit the call button. But yeah, it's becoming more prominent from the comments I've read. But I haven't installed iOS 12 yet, so cannot confirm or deny the rumor.
I mean, I guess one example would be if you're in a text message thread with someone, there used to be the information button in the top right corner. You could tap on that and then call them directly from that information window that pop up. Now that button's a little obfuscated, which I'm not exactly a fan of because I used it quite a bit. But if you tap on their actual name or contact picture, it gives you the option right there to directly call them from FaceTime audio. So
right, that could have been what the comments were about then.
Right. So yeah, because they only used to give you the option to do a standard phone call, and then it'd present you with the dialogue option to choose whether it was a standard voice call or FaceTime audio. And now you actually got the call and FaceTime buttons right in your message thread, and you only have a FaceTime audio option unless you want to tap into info and then do it that way.
Nice. And did I see correctly that, say you're in a group chat and there's a FaceTime call happening already, that you can just jump right into that call?
Yeah, I saw that. I'm the only person I know with iOS 12, so I haven't got to play with it much yet. But yeah, I did see them show that off at the keynote.
All right. I think I'm willing to install iOS 12, but maybe not WatchOS yet. Are you going to give me the go-ahead? Is it safe?
I would definitely say do it. I haven't had a single issue yet, so.
All right, cool. Maybe we can try the FaceTime later then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, not even the typical, like, some apps don't work. I haven't had any apps not work with iOS 12, so.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's been very solid.
Nice. That's the afternoon for me then.
I guess I'll jump on to my next point here. The custom Siri workflows and shortcuts. I don't know if you saw this. It's over a year ago, Apple bought this mobile application called Workflow.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm a big user of Workflow.
Oh, I am as well. Yeah, and it looks like this custom Siri shortcuts is built directly on top of this Workflow app that they've purchased. At least as far as what I've seen on stage, because unfortunately it's not in the first beta. But it looks
in the beta,
identical.
Actually.
Is it? The Shortcuts app that they demoed at the keynote?
You just have to find it under Settings, then Siri, or maybe General, then Siri.
Yeah, I'm in Siri. I see that. Like it gives you some options in the actual Siri menu in Settings to set some custom shortcuts, but it doesn't give you the Shortcuts app that they showed off where you could build your own. Like it just has recommended shortcuts that you can add.
All right. Okay. Maybe that's what I was seeing then.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited to actually play around with it, though, because it looks like it works just like the Workflow app did. and from there you can build it right into Siri.
Have you got any shortcuts in mind that you're going to add already?
I don't. I'm going to have to actually see what options we have and can set up, and then from there I will configure whatever's possible. I've got some, like, the ones I use in workflow itself are pretty convenient. I have a workflow for, like, pulling out the location information from photos. So if I want to know where a photo was taken, like one that was sent to me or something like that, it actually pulls the header data from the photo and then drops a pin on the map where that photo was taken. I have a workflow to convert, like, a burst image into GIFs, and then just some quick actions. Like, I have one option to make whatever I'm looking at a PDF. So whatever web page or Word document or whatever I'm reading, I can quickly convert it to a PDF and send it off to someone.
That's actually built into iOS 11, did you know?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, this is a really little known feature, but if you go to like a web page or an email and then open up the print dialog, which, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you can actually do the pinch to expand action on the thumbnail and it'll generate a PDF for you.
Really? Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really hidden feature. I think that's probably one of the most obscure things I know about iOS 11.
Well, now I don't need that workflow. Cool.
The few workflows I've got are basically nearly all download X or like rip X from site X. Social media download a video from Facebook, and YouTube video downloader, convert YouTube to MP3, all these sorts of things.
Oh, the Facebook downloader would be nice, since Facebook doesn't really offer a native way to download videos.
Yeah, it's just called Social Media Downloader. It's pretty neat.
I'll have to check that out.
I'm trying hard to get excited for these Siri workflows and shortcuts because I know they're going to be really good, but I can't think of anything particular at the moment that I would use it for. I'm going to have to wait for someone smarter than me to make something really good.
I think it's going to play a lot into app developers as well, because they can put custom hooks in their applications for different ways they want Siri to interact with them. So it'll only get better over time. I know the one a lot of people have been excited about is being able to control Spotify with Siri and have her, treat it like Apple Music, basically.
And the current Siri intents that are available are so hidden, it's really not obvious when an app supports Siri. There are only a few options as well. I think note-taking, and can't even think of the others.
Yeah, there's ride-sharing, sending payments.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's only I don't know why, but it was only a very small list of app categories they allowed to interact with Siri. So I'm excited to see what happens in the future.
I'm really impressed in how quickly the turnaround on this feature was as well, because it's not like the workflow team was hired 5 years ago. It wasn't that long ago.
I think it was just over a year now, because I think they purchased it like either just before or just after iOS 11 was announced. So yeah, it's been really impressive. And I'm excited to see what this means for Siri on the HomePod as well.
Yes, because you will be able to execute your shortcuts on the HomePod, won't you?
Right, so make the HomePod a lot more useful, potentially. And I'll probably be building a lot of shortcuts with that specific use in mind, things that I want to do without a screen. And
have you bought your second HomePod yet?
No, not yet. I actually almost did the other day. I probably will here soon.
Because AirPlay 2 has come out since we last spoke, so now you can, and stereo pairing as well.
Oh, does stereo pairing work now?
Yeah.
In 11.4.1 or in iOS 12?
In the 11.4.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I saw the AirPlay 2 came, but I hadn't seen that stereo pairing was actually working yet.
Well, there's another bit of motivation to go out and get your second HomePod.
Okay, I probably will. Huh. Well, very cool. So, and iCloud Messages looks like it's trying to work in iOS 12. I'm not sure if it's actually working yet, because I only have it on one device, but...
You don't have it on your desktop as well?
No, I haven't installed Mojave yet. I actually haven't even been on my Mac since the keynote, so...
Okay. But it's in, what are we up to? 10.13.5 iMessage in the cloud.
Oh, is it?
Let me double check. Oh, hang on. No, it's not. Okay, ignore that. I thought it was. Yeah, I'm in the same boat then. I've only got one device, just the iPhone with messages in the cloud. And I turned it on and it had a uploading progress thing for 24 hours, and then that's the last I saw of it.
Yeah, I've got the same uploading text in my Messages app, so I assume that it's working, but I'm not sure. So maybe I'll put it on my iPad, because I'm really excited to try out these iOS 10, or like iPhone 10 gestures on the iPad.
Yeah, it's really nice that they've consolidated those. So it's more or less the same between them now.
Yeah, because I've already been in the habit of swiping down for Control Center, and I constantly have to remember how to do it when I switch to my iPad, so...
Yeah. Even if it did mean putting the control center in the most unreachable spot possible.
That's not quite as much of an issue on the iPad, though, because you're not really using iPad one-handed.
No. But there goes anyone's hope that they were going to move it on the 10 somewhere else.
Yeah.
Speaking of Siri, the next thing on my list was Siri watch face extensions. So currently on the Siri watch face, the little cards, I think they call them, are pretty limited. I mean, you get weather, calendar, activity, which they added in the last watchOS update, maybe the one before that. You don't get a whole lot else, though. Reminders. But now it's opened up to whatever an app developer wants to put there.
Do you use the Siri watch face a lot?
Yeah, that's the only thing I use.
Oh, really? I tried it out when it first came out, but maybe it's just because I wasn't using it long enough. But I didn't feel like the predictive cards that Siri gave me were as useful as some of the complications that I had on my other watch faces. So I switched back over. But maybe I'll have to give it another shot with these new extensions being added.
Yeah, I think it's got the potential to be really powerful. And it's basically the only watch face update that's coming in watchOS 5. So I think Apple is all in on the Siri watch face as being like the watch face on the Apple Watch. There's no chance of having like completely custom watch faces. That seems to be out the door now. 5 versions
yeah, I was
later,
kind of
it's not there.
expecting that this year.
Were you?
So
Okay.
I just feel like it's about time that they open that up. But I guess they have their own plans in mind.
The only watch face extension we had before was third-party complications, but that did not really take off at all. The only one I've ever used is Carrot Weather, which is pretty decent, and all the rest were basically just shortcuts to open apps. That was it, not dynamic, just little shortcuts.
There is one app that I use their complication for. It's called Just Press Record.
Oh, that's a great app.
Yeah, it gets a record button right on your watch face so you can easily start recording whatever you're doing.
Speaking of recording, when they announced that voice memos was coming to the iPad, I thought surely it's going to be on watchOS as well and then sync with iCloud, but it's not there.
Yeah, that'd be super useful.
Yeah, especially since you can't use Siri to take notes on the watch. You really need something to take notes, and I thought it would be voice memos.
Yeah, that is interesting that they wouldn't add that. I didn't even think about it. So, well, speaking of this kind of a loose connect, but iOS apps.
Oh, I love our segues.
Yeah, our segues are the best. This support for not necessarily directly running iOS apps on macOS, but being able to easily cross-support macOS and iOS coming next year. I'm really excited for the potential of a lot of the iOS apps I use to end up on my desktop as well. And I think this is maybe a stepping stone to either a middle ground OS or total cross-compatibility between the two OSs. So I'm excited for what it means in the future more than necessarily what this iteration is going to offer.
That's right, because only Apple is using it at the moment, and that's what they use to bring across news, stocks, and voice memos. Was that the third one?
I don't know what the third one was. Voice memo seems weird since we already have QuickTime to record stuff, but maybe they did.
Oh, what was the third one? Slipped my mind.
Yeah.
So, but the good news is that Apple is already dogfooding this combined framework of AppKit and UIKit, and they're already making apps with it. So what that means to me is that next year, when it's actually out to developers, it's going to be half decent, and we're going to have some really good iOS apps come to macOS.
Yeah, that'll be... I'm really excited.
App Store, that's the third one.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
I'm hoping this means we could potentially see an ARM MacBook next year.
Yeah. There was that rumor that someone saw an ARM MacBook log in their weblogs.
Oh, really?
A user agent or something like that, yeah.
Huh. So, well, yeah, it's definitely been a rumor for years with Apple's processors getting better and better that they just need to ditch Intel at least on the MacBook line and use their own hardware. So,
do you have any iOS apps that you really want to come to macOS that aren't there yet?
I'd be really excited for maybe a native Reddit client on the desktop instead of having to use Reddit's new designed website.
Yeah, you've had a look at that now, huh?
Yeah. I'd love it if my crossword puzzle app made it to the desktop.
Oh, God.
So, Yeah, as far as third-party apps go, I don't really use much besides, access to web services. Like, you don't have Craigslist in Australia, do you? Is it called Gumtree?
Yeah, Craigslist does exist here, but Gumtree is basically the classifieds website that everyone uses.
Okay. So I have a pretty good Craigslist client. I'd like to do that instead of using Craigslist's terrible old web design.
That's the whole appeal of Craigslist, though, isn't it?
It looks like it came from the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. That and the potential to get killed every time you meet someone. That's the appeal. So
sounds exactly like Gumtree.
But yeah, I don't know. I'll be just excited to see what people bring over.
Yeah, a reinvigoration of the Mac App Store is what I'm keen for. And a specific couple of apps would be Ferrite, the podcast audio editor. That's on iPad and iPhone. Such a good app. Haven't found anything that compares on macOS. And maybe VSCO, the photo editing and filter app. That'd be nice to see as well. So Screen Time is coming to the iPhone, which is basically a timer that you can put on certain apps, and also a summary of how long you spend in apps given to you. I think it gives it to you at the end of each week. So for example, you could say, just let me use Instagram for 15 minutes a day instead of 2 hours a day. Recently, I've been trying to use my phone less and less, and it's hard. Instagram is so good. I can't get off it. I need something to help me with that. So, yeah.
Man, you had a really cool photo you posted the other day. It was like this super high-res photo. You and your wife standing at some, I don't know what it was, some town square in Brussels. But it was taken from a really long distance.
Exactly what it was. Yeah, that's a cool little tourist thing they put there, and it's called Grand Place in the middle of Brussels. It's their town square, and you stand out the front of Town Hall, and on top of the building opposite, they've got I think it's a really super high resolution camera which animates zooming into you and then zooming back out.
How do you trigger the photo to be taken?
If you look at the photo, we're standing next to a little yellow booth, so you just basically click take photo and stand there, and then give them your email address, and they send it to you. Yeah.
Very nice.
That's cool. Speaking of Instagram, I saw you restored your dad's old Huffy.
Oh, yeah. He had a bike that came out at the same time as the Smokey and the Bandit movie, and it was modeled after the Trans Am in that movie. And this has been the late 70s, and for about the last 10 years, he's been looking for another one. Not as much necessarily recently, but he restores old cars, and he was working on a Trans Am and really wanted his old bike to have set beside the Trans Am at car shows and stuff. And actually, if you Google Smokey and the Bandit bike, the first results are my dad posting on forums looking for one.
That's cool.
So, yeah. So I just had an alert set up on eBay for if one ever showed up, and it just so happened one popped up about a month ago, and I bought that. My brother and I worked on restoring it for the last month, and we just gave it to him last weekend as kind of an early Father's Day gift.
It looks really good.
Thanks.
The before and after photos that you put up, and it looks nice.
Yeah, it was a really fun project. My brother's a mechanical engineer, and he's really good with programs like SolidWorks, which doesn't necessarily sound like it'd work for this purpose, but he used it to recreate all the original vinyl decals for the bike, and even including the custom Huffy logo, and we had it all cut from vinyl. So yeah, it was a fun project, especially since my brother's moving out of the state actually tomorrow. So it was kind of a way for us to have an excuse to hang out before he moved.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah. So as far as trying to turn back around on topic here, Screen Time, it was working for me for the first couple days, but here for the last 4 or 5 days, I just get a message that says, as you use your iPhone, Screen Time will be reported here, but it hasn't been actually tracking any of my usage since Friday evening. It hasn't been tracking any of my usage for some reason.
Okay. I thought you said you had no problems with iOS 12.
Yeah. Oh,
Truth comes out.
Wait.
Is it back?
The moment I said that, my weekly timeline updated and it shows my usage for the week. So I guess
they're tracking what you're saying.
Screen Time isn't something that I was super excited about or thought I'd get much use out of, so I hadn't even really bothered to look at it. It says my most used app is Reading and Reference, which is just kind of a general category, but I don't know what falls under reading and reference.
Yeah, that's strange. Are you in iBooks all the time?
No. Oh, wait, here.
Apple Books, rather.
My reading and reference usage time is identical to my Apollo usage time, so I guess it's Reddit.
Yeah. Truth comes out. And that's number 1.
Yeah. That's number 1 with 10 hours. I don't know what the time frame is, though. This week or in the last week? I don't know. So, and then after that is YouTube. And then my crosswords app. 5 hours. So.
I can't wait to see. I'll report back next time we record what mine are.
All right. Yeah. So, but moving forward here, I'm really excited about dark mode being kind of brought OS-wide in this new version of macOS. They've had the ability to make your dock and, I don't know, what's it called across the top? The toolbar? The Apple menu bar? I don't know. But that's been able to, the menu bar. Been able to make that dark, but that's been about the extent of it. And now all Windows and applications can support kind of a darker theme, which I'm always a fan of dark mode when I can use it. I spend so much time a day looking at a computer monitor. The less harsh and bright the screen can be, the better. And hopefully this is a kind of foreshadowing potential dark mode coming in some future version of iOS, if not the final release of iOS 12.
I'd be surprised if it was in iOS 12, but it's got to be foreshadowing something, hey?
Yeah. As far as I can tell, people who've dug through the code says there's no indication of a dark mode in iOS 12, but still holding out hope. It just makes sense with an OLED screen to have a dark mode. So I'm really surprised that we're here and we haven't seen it yet.
Do you think it also might mean OLED MacBooks coming?
Oh, potentially. Have there been any OLED laptops yet?
No, they're all LCD.
Yeah. I don't know if it's feasible to make an OLED panel that size or what's holding people back, or it's just really expensive. But that would be really cool to see.
Yeah, I'm not really up on my screen technologies. I have no idea what OLED size limits are. But yeah, it would look good, wouldn't it? Because a black background on iPhone 10 looks amazing.
Yeah, that's all I use, actually, is just a black background because it looks so nice.
I'm not normally a huge fan of dark mode, and I'm a little worried that third-party apps on the Mac aren't going to support it that nicely. So, you're going to have everything dark, and then you Command Tab to something, and you get blasted by something with a white background. I'm looking at Discord right now. Actually, Discord's got a dark mode already. Sorry, Discord.
Yeah, I'm using the dark mode in Discord.
But what I would be really interested in is an automatic switch from a day mode to a dark mode, either based on ambient light or based on time of day, kind of like a night shift dark mode. Yeah, and I think people are already working on scripts that'll do that as well. So I'll probably implement that, but I'm definitely running day mode during the day.
Nice. Okay. So, as far as night shift goes, I just have that turned on all the time now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that, and my glasses have special lenses that filter out blue light, so everything is really orange to me all the time.
And you sleep like a rock?
I don't think it helps with sleep. I've never had a sleeping problem. But it definitely helps reduce headaches looking at screens 12 to 16 hours a day.
I read once that the more blue light you're getting before bed, the less REM sleep you might get.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. But maybe it's just because I grew up staring at screens before bed. I'm so used to it doesn't bother me.
You've evolved, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Speaking of health, loosely related, but Cadence is now coming to the Workouts app on the Apple Watch. So Cadence is basically how frequently your foot hits the ground when you're running or walking. Actually, I don't know if it's coming to a walking workout, but it's definitely coming to a running workout. And I do a little bit of running, and previously the only way I found to get Cadence, and this is probably going back over 12 months because it's the last time I tried, but it was to use the Strava native app on the Apple Watch and then sync that to the Strava website and then check what your cadence was post-run. So having it on the fly is going to be really nice. Primarily because hitting a certain cadence, most amateur runners, their cadence is way too slow for what it should be. So yeah, I think you're more prone to injury and fatigue with a slower cadence, and your running form is not as good. So hitting, I think it's 180 steps per minute is the desired cadence. Yeah, that sounds right. So it's going to be really nice to have that on my wrist.
Yeah, and kind of along those lines, I'm really excited about the suggesting starting and stopping workouts. That's definitely been my biggest issue with the Apple Watches. I'll go for a run or I'll go for a a walk or something, and I'll always forget to start my workout on it. I very rarely use the workouts feature just for that reason alone, is I always forget to turn it on. So having the watch recommend to me when I start a workout to actually properly track it will be hugely beneficial to me.
I have the opposite problem. I always remember to start, but then I'll be driving home after 2 hours of ultimate frisbee, and I'll get home and it'll still be tracking. So yeah.
Well, they got the recommending you stop time too, so that'll be...
Yeah, exactly.
It'll help both of us.
Yeah. It's a great feature. Nice.
Yeah. So, and my last bullet point's kind of a small one, but grouped notifications across all the OSs has been a feature that was implemented a few years ago and then removed, and now it's back, and it definitely helps with not feeling overwhelmed going through my notifications. I get so many a day that it take me a good 10-15 minutes to scroll through them at some points. So having them stacked up is way better, especially because I have home security cameras, but they send me a notification every time they see motion, which has been helpful a couple times, but the rest of the times I get 100 notifications a day from them because someone walked their dog in front of my house or something. So I don't want to completely turn it off because it has been helpful, like if I'm trying to, see a package be delivered or something like that. But most of the time I get these useless notifications, a few times an hour that I just end up ignoring. So having everything stacked up is definitely helpful for me.
It was kind of implemented before, wasn't it? It would group them by app, but there was no stacking, so you would still just have a flat list of hundreds of notifications.
Right. So, and I've been trying really hard to use this notification shade the way Apple recommends, which is not clearing your notifications at all and using it more as a timeline so you can go back and see things throughout your day.
What do you mean by not clear it at all?
Right. So my previous habit was just to always clear or dismiss notifications when they show up on my screen, whether or not I interacted with them. Because after I saw what they said, I didn't necessarily want them taking up my lock screen or whatever anymore. I don't remember where this was said. Maybe it was an email to Phil Schiller or someone. Someone responded to an email saying that it's meant to be more of a timeline with this redesign they added last year. It's meant to be more of a timeline where you can scroll back and look at your day, and you're not supposed to dismiss all of your notifications.
But then won't it just fill up forever and you could scroll back weeks?
Yeah. The only ones that stay are the ones you don't interact with or dismiss in the first place. But yeah. In theory, it's at least worked for a few days worth. I can scroll back and see what notifications I received at what time on what days. And it's really similar to the Pebble smartwatches when they were still kind of a big deal. I had one of those before the Apple Watch came out. And they had a similar feature in their watch operating system that allowed you to go back and see what time you received different notifications throughout the day. So I'm trying to not dismiss my notifications and use it that way. Not that I very, very often want to look back and see things, but that's apparently the intended use and kind of the thoughts behind this new design.
Interesting. I might try it then. The biggest thing I look forward to with group notifications is Facebook Messenger alerts on the watch. They're such a pain in the ass, especially with group chats, because they're totally flat. You know how iMessage kind of threads itself, so if you get a message and then another one straight afterwards, both will appear in the little notification pop-up. Whereas Facebook Messenger, you get one message, you look at it, and then you can feel your watch buzzing in the background as more come through. But you have to dismiss the first one and then pull down Notification Center to then see the others. So I'm looking forward to having them in a stack, and maybe even if Facebook implements this thread ID feature, such as iMessage has, then they'll actually appear in line as well.
Yeah. I don't really use Facebook Messenger, so I haven't necessarily experienced that, but there's definitely similar applications that do the same thing. So, very excited to see. And, I mean, technically this Thread ID thing has been around for a couple of years, and people had the option to implement it in the past. I believe it was either iOS 11 or iOS 10 they announced the ability you can edit existing notifications on the lock screen to add content to them if they deliver another notification. But no company implemented it. And that was the biggest rebuttal, if you actually read through some of the discussions on group notifications prior to this announcement on the subreddit, people complaining they want group notifications, and then the rebuttal's always been, well, technically it's up to the app developers to implement that. So
okay. So really group notifications now is just that they get stacked.
Right.
Okay.
So
Oh, well, it's better than nothing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good that Apple implemented something on the OS level, because clearly the app developers aren't interested in expanding that feature.
All right. Did you have to go now? I've got a bonus one, unless you're actually running out the door.
Yeah, I want to touch on that real quick, but then, I gotta run.
All right. Well, really quickly, AirPod monitoring. So basically, you can turn on monitoring on your phone and say leave it in one room, put your AirPods in, and listen to what's coming through your phone speaker. So currently my baby monitoring setup is a FaceTime between two devices to keep an eye on the baby, like when he's in his room. But now I could just have my AirPods in as I walk around, and the iPhone can be listening to him.
Oh, that'd be great. I wonder if, as far as I can tell, it doesn't, but if they add support for the HomePod, so your HomePod can be monitoring what's your phone's listening to, you don't have to walk around with AirPods in.
Yeah, you could AirPlay it to your HomePod.
Yeah. Something like that. So
a lot of potential there.
Yeah. I don't have much of a practical use, but it reminds me of being a kid and like pretending to be a spy or something. So
yep. It's almost as cool as activating the remote shutter on your phone from your watch and then keeping an eye on something.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely some very cool potential uses for that. There's also, along with accessibility features built into the control center, that monitoring one is there, but there's also like a magnification one that brings up a special viewfinder that allows you to use your camera to zoom like way in on things. And it's not your standard camera viewfinder, it's some modified one. I'm not sure exactly if it zooms farther in than the standard viewfinder or what, but yeah, so you have the option to kind of use your iPhone as a telescope.
That's pretty cool. I'll have to check it out later when I install iOS 12.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, is there anything else you wanted to touch on before we finish up?
No, I think that's it.
All right, nice. Well, I'm James VDM on Reddit and Twitter.
And I'm Jellywoot on Reddit and Twitter.
And we're also on Patreon, on patreon.com/TheRAppleShow.
All right,
nice one. Well, sorry you have to go to work now, but enjoy your day.
Thanks, you too.
All right, good chatting. See you later.
Yeah, bye.